Dear friends, sorry to bother you in the middle of summer, but I would like to make a proposal based on personal reflections. First, the reflections. Today, more than 1,100 followers have registered on my friend channel with a total of more than 78,000 views and even more in my American channels. An incredible success considering the number of retinal surgeons. Some of you seem to have adopted all of part of my philosophy, of the philosophy I've tried to convey. But recently, I received two testimonials that make me think, and here they are. First, Alexander Portman.
Thank you, Didier, for inviting me on your channel. The arrival of Dr. Nakul Singh, an American retinal surgeon who watched your channel and wanted to learn the technique you taught, remind me of what I felt when I came to work with Dr. Jean-Paul Amar. First, in retinal detachment, the semiological analysis allowing the selection of an appropriate strategy and the limitation of vitrectomies. The surgical work at the slit lamp for both external and internal procedures. All this allows a reduction of failures and above all, a visual acuity recovery unimaginable with the strategy and techniques I have learned before. The management of macular edema by peeling the internal limiting membrane has now become essential in my practice, even in a first line of treatment, especially since in case of retinal detachment, the visual recovery is so good that we no longer hesitate. What a shame, Didier, that we are so few to share this philosophy.
And now, Nakul Singh.
Hello, my name is Nakul Singh, and I'd like to share with you my story about slit lamp illuminated vitreoretinal surgery. I'm a recently graduated vitreoretinal surgeon, and I've been trained in the United States. I did my residency at Mass Eye and Ear in Boston. I just completed my fellowship at the Wilmer Eye Institute of Johns Hopkins Hospital in Baltimore. During my training, I was frustrated by the awkwardness and sometimes poor visualization afforded by the indirect ophthalmoscope, particularly during sclerobuccal surgery. And I looked for alternative ways of visualization all over the internet. I stumbled upon Dr. DeCorneau's retinal detachment video series, and I immediately knew I found what I was looking for. The series clearly and thoroughly demonstrates an entirely different system for doing vitreoretinal surgery, different tools, techniques, and philosophy. I knew I had to see it in person in order to begin to incorporate these techniques into my practice. Dr. DeCorneau put me in touch with Dr. Alexandra Portman and Dr. Jean-Paul Amar in Cannes, and they so graciously hosted me and allowed me to observe them in the operating room and clinic, as well as access to a whole archive of surgical videos. This was a life-changing experience. The techniques I saw were so effective at achieving the surgical objective while minimizing trauma and operating time. For example, a sclerobuckle in the United States can take between 60 and 90 minutes. Dr. Portman can comfortably place one, start to finish, in 10 to 15 minutes, with definitive results. Observing was important, but it will take me much more time and guidance to incorporate these techniques into my own practice. But I know it will make me a better surgeon, and my patients will benefit from it as well. To help me and other vitreoretinal surgeons like me who want to learn these techniques and discuss the underlying philosophy, we have started a club whose details Dr. DeCorneau will share with you. I look forward to meeting with you, and we can learn this exciting, different system of vitreoretinal surgery together.
These comments made me analyze what I had produced since Mireille Bonnet has passed the torch to me, since we are in Olympics. Admittedly, I added quite a few things to her teaching. For example, in semiology, the circumferential retinal fold, or the distinction between active and passive vitreous traction. In surgical techniques, vitrectomy under slit lamp, buccal plus 4, or direct transscleral needle drainage. And of course, in indication, the ILM peeling in epithelial membrane, macular hole, and edema. My surgical strategy against systematic vitrectomy in RD, or the superiority of a machine with aspiration flow control. And by the way, Alcon offers it in its next vitrectomy machine. Well, it's good, but on the other hand, I encountered difficulties such as the counter-offensives of IVT suppliers for the treatment of edema, or my inability to convince indirect ophthalmoscopy users of the usefulness of the slit lamp in their analysis of RD. Without optical cut of the vitreous, without this fine analysis of vitreoretinal relationships, they could not, of course, understand this strategy based on these clinical fine details. It is all the more frustrating that in this world of doubt where we live, this free orientation, my strategy in RD, aspiration flow control, and the ILM peeling in edema have been proved to provide statistically highly significant advantages, and thus to be part of the rare truth that one can believe in 100% without possible dispute. The problem is, why did I have this difficulty or failures? Because we were not enough trying to convince. We were about 10 or 15 from Europe or South America talking about this philosophy, no more. Okay, but despite everything, my strategy has been enriched by the discoveries of some of you. For example, when Jean-Paul Amar told me about his cryo technique during vitrectomy, fixing the tear with the ice to allow the vitrectomy handpiece to cut as close as possible while aspirating expelled pigment epithelium, I adopted immediately with happiness. Likewise, his technique of injecting dansirons in giant tears has considerably changed my life. But not having regular contact with the others, I may have missed many other tips. So, imagine the advantages that a real group of followers of this philosophy, communicating together regularly, could provide you. It would result in constant improvement of techniques and strategies, as well as increased influence. Therefore, I propose the following. If you liked this philosophy, if you have already adopted or would like to, if you need advice from me or from younger operators, if you want to benefit from the tip or enthusiasm of others, or simply share your impression, send me an email with your name and phone number to didierducournau@gmail.com. I could then add you on a WhatsApp list that Alexandre Portman has titled Slit Lamp Philosophy, and we could discuss together on problems or difficulties you encounter, share your tips to improve the philosophy, some clinical findings, some clinical cases on which you have strategic uncertainties. I already do this with some of you and it works very well. Join your forces, decide our group action, organize webinar or conference, etc. It could be a shame if this philosophy, this heritage does not evolve. Thank you. See you later.